In a quiet, rural town where life moved at a gentle pace, there lived a dedicated farmer named Sam. For years, Sam poured heart and soul into cultivating the land that had been in their family for generations. The farm was not just a livelihood. It was a sanctuary, a place where the sun rose over fields of corn and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers. Sam loved the simplicity of farming, the rhythm of the seasons, and the connection to nature that it provided. However, Sam's peaceful existence was disrupted by the recent formation of a homeowners association, led by an ambitious woman named Karen. Known for her strong personality and penchant for enforcing strict rules, Karen had made it her mission to reshape the neighborhood according to her vision. As she began pushing for development and regulations, tensions grew among residents. Many felt stifled by her overreach, but few dared to confront her directly. After years of hard work without a break, Sam decided it was finally time for a vacation, a chance to recharge and escape the growing unease surrounding the HOA's activities. But as Sam packed bags for a well-deserved getaway, there was an unsettling feeling in the pit of their stomach. What if Karen tried to push through her plans while they were away? Little did they know that the seeds of conflict had already been sown, and soon, Sam would return to find their world turned upside down. The tranquil life they cherished was about to collide with the chaos of ambition and greed. The Homeowners Association, or HOA, was formed in response to the changing dynamics of the neighborhood. As more families moved in seeking a suburban lifestyle, Karen quickly emerged as its self-appointed leader. With her sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude, she rallied support from those who shared her vision of transformation, a vision that often clashed with the values of long-standing residents like Sam. Karen's influence grew as she pushed for stricter guidelines on property upkeep, landscaping, and even the types of fences residents could erect. While some appreciated her efforts to bring order to the community, many felt stifled by her overbearing nature. With each HOA meeting, tension mounted. Karen was relentless in her pursuit of what she deemed improvement. Her plans often included commercial development that would change the character of their beloved rural landscape. As whispers of a potential shopping mall began circulating, many residents were apprehensive. They worried that their peaceful way of life would be disrupted by noise, traffic, and the influx of outsiders. Sam watched from the sidelines, torn between wanting to stand up against Karen's ambitions and fearing the repercussions of doing so. While discussions about development escalated, Karen remained undeterred. She saw opportunity where others saw loss. With each passing day, it became clearer that her plans would not just impact property values, but would also threaten the very essence of their community. Unbeknownst to them all, this was just the beginning of a conflict that would challenge their sense of belonging and loyalty to the land they cherished. As the day of departure arrived, Sam stood at the edge of their farm, taking a long, lingering look at the fields that shimmered under the late afternoon sun. There was a sense of excitement about the vacation ahead, but it was overshadowed by a nagging feeling of unease. With Karen's ambitions looming over the community like a dark cloud, Sam couldn't shake off the suspicion that something significant might happen while they were away. Packing up the car, Sam replayed recent HOA meetings in their mind. Karen had been increasingly vocal about her plans for development, and with each meeting, her followers seemed to grow more fervent. A part of Sam wanted to challenge her directly, to rally the community against her vision for change. But with no time left and a commitment to self-care, they ultimately decided to leave their worries behind. As Sam drove away from the farm, memories of laughter-filled days spent with family and friends flooded back. Yet doubt crept in. Had they done enough to protect their land? Had they underestimated Karen's determination? The thought gnawed at them as the familiar landscape faded into the distance. The hours passed quickly, filled with scenic views and new experiences. Yet, even on vacation, Sam found it hard to fully relax. Every text or call from neighbors felt like a potential warning. Each ping brought with it a wave of anxiety about what might be happening back home. Little did Sam know that while they were soaking in sunshine and adventure, Karen was already preparing to execute her plan for the mall, one that would devastate everything Sam held dear. When Sam finally returned home, the stark contrast between the lush landscape they had left behind, and the barren lot that now stood where their farm once thrived was jarring. As they pulled into the driveway, disbelief washed over them. Where there had been rows of corn and vibrant wildflowers, there now stood a skeletal structure in progress, what was meant to be a sprawling mall. Construction cranes loomed overhead, and the sounds of machinery echoed through the air, drowning out the familiar chirping of birds. Heart-pounding, Sam stepped out of the car and walked toward the site, each step filled with dread. The sight of bulldozers tearing up rich soil left a pit in their stomach. It felt as though a piece of their soul had been ripped away. The sprawling fields that had once represented generations of hard work were now being paved over for parking lots and storefronts. As Sam wandered closer, they spotted workers bustling about, but there was no sign of Karen or any HOA members. The realization hit hard. In their absence, Karen had acted swiftly and decisively, capitalizing on Sam's absence to push through her plans without opposition. The community's quiet defiance had crumbled under her relentless ambition. Questions raced through Sam's mind. How could this happen? Hadn't there been legal protections? But as anger began to rise within them, another thought emerged. This wasn't just a personal loss. It was an opportunity to fight back. With determination surging, Sam recalled the legal trap they had set before leaving. They would use this situation to reclaim not only their land but also their voice within the community. Before leaving for vacation, Sam had sensed the brewing storm over their farm and decided to take proactive measures. With a legal background that came from years of navigating property rights, Sam had carefully crafted a plan. A legal trap designed to protect their land from the very kind of overreach Karen was notorious for. In the weeks leading up to their departure, Sam meticulously researched zoning laws and local ordinances, pinpointing specific regulations that could halt any development that violated them. They discovered that the land was classified under agricultural zoning, which placed strict limitations on commercial use. Armed with this knowledge, Sam documented everything, from the current zoning classifications to permits required for any construction project. Before leaving, they filed a formal complaint with the local planning department regarding any potential violations by the HOA. This complaint outlined the discrepancies in Karen's development plans, pointing out how they disregarded zoning laws and lacked necessary approvals. Sam made sure to keep copies of all correspondence and evidence of their property's historical use as farmland, knowing it would be crucial later. As Sam stood at the edge of what was once their farm, they felt a flicker of hope igniting within them. The HOA's rush to build had blinded them to legalities that could bring their plans crashing down. The wheels of justice might turn slowly, but Sam was ready to unleash the full force of their preparation. They had set the stage for a legal showdown, one that could not only reclaim their land but also serve as a warning against any future attempts by Karen or her followers to undermine community values. As Sam delved deeper into the situation, it became increasingly apparent that the HOA's actions were not only rash, but also legally tenuous. Karen, driven by her vision of modernization and expansion, had overstepped her bounds in her haste to transform the community. The mall project, which she had championed so fervently, was riddled with violations of local zoning laws and lacked the necessary permits for commercial development. Word began to spread through the neighborhood about the construction. Many residents who had initially supported the idea started expressing their concerns. They questioned whether anyone had truly considered the long-term impact on property values, traffic congestion, and the loss of the rural character that defined their community. But Karen, fueled by ambition and a sense of entitlement, dismissed these concerns as mere resistance to progress. Sam recognized that this was not just a personal battle but a fight for the entire community's future. The more they researched, the clearer it became that Karen's plans were built on shaky foundations, both literally and figuratively. The HOA had bypassed critical public hearings and ignored required environmental assessments, all in an effort to get shovels in the ground as quickly as possible. With this knowledge at hand, Sam felt a renewed sense of purpose. They began preparing to leverage this overreach in their upcoming legal challenge. It was evident that Karen's rush to develop had led to significant missteps that would ultimately serve as the basis for holding her accountable. While many residents were still unaware of the impending legal battle, Sam was determined to ensure that their voices would be heard and that they could reclaim not just their land but also their community's integrity. Determined to build a solid case against the HOA and Karen, Sam sprang into action, gathering evidence that would substantiate their claims. The first step was to document the ongoing construction. Armed with a camera, they took numerous photographs of the site, capturing everything from the heavy machinery to the hastily erected structures that were clearly in violation of zoning laws. Each image told a story of destruction, starkly contrasting with the vibrant farmland that had once flourished there. Next, Sam turned to public records. They visited the local planning office to obtain permits and documents related to the mall project. With each form they reviewed, it became increasingly clear that Karen had not followed necessary procedures. There were glaring omissions, no public hearings had been conducted, and required environmental assessments were absent. Sam made copies of everything, meticulously organizing them into a comprehensive file. Reaching out to neighbors also proved invaluable. Many residents were unsettled by the rapid changes and shared Sam's concerns about the mall. Some who had attended HOA meetings provided testimonies about Karen's dismissive attitude towards community feedback and her determination to push through her plans regardless of legality. Gathering these statements would not only strengthen Sam's case but also rally support from other residents who felt powerless. As Sam pieced together this mountain of evidence, they felt a surge of confidence. The legal trap they had set was beginning to bear fruit. With each passing day, it became clearer that Karen's overreach would not go unchallenged. Armed with irrefutable evidence, Sam was ready to confront the HOA and reclaim their farm, not just for themselves, but for the entire community that had been caught in Karen's relentless pursuit of progress at any cost. The day of the HOA meeting had arrived, and Sam felt a mix of anxiety and determination as they prepared to confront Karen and the other members. The community center buzzed with energy as residents gathered, many whispering about the ongoing construction and its implications for their neighborhood. Sam knew this was their chance to speak up, not just for themselves but for everyone who felt their voices had been silenced. As the meeting commenced, Karen took her position at the front, exuding confidence as she presented her vision for the mall. She painted a picture of progress, claiming it would enhance property values and bring new amenities to the community. But Sam could see that many in attendance were skeptical, their expressions reflecting doubt about her lofty promises. When it was time for questions, Sam stood up, heart racing but resolute. "I have some concerns regarding the legality of this project," they said, voice steady despite the murmurs in the room. Sam began to lay out the evidence they had gathered, photos of the construction site, copies of missing permits, and testimonies from neighbors who had witnessed Karen's disregard for due process. The tension in the room escalated as Sam detailed how the HOA had bypassed essential regulations. Karen's confident demeanor began to falter as whispers turned into exchanges of disbelief among attendees. Some residents started voicing their frustrations publicly, echoing Sam's concerns about the long-term impact on their community. As voices rose in support of Sam's claims, Karen attempted to regain control, but it was clear that her grip was slipping. The confrontation had ignited a spark among residents, uniting them against what they now saw as an overreach that threatened their way of life. In that moment, Sam realized they were no longer alone in this fight. They were leading a movement toward reclaiming their community from Karen's ambitions. The atmosphere in the community center shifted dramatically after Sam's passionate presentation. Conversations erupted among residents as they processed the information laid before them. Many were shocked to learn just how much Karen and the HOA had overlooked in their rush to develop the land. What had once seemed like an inevitable change now felt like a betrayal, igniting a fire of resistance within the hearts of those present. Some neighbors, who had initially supported the mall for its promise of growth, began to express their concerns openly. "We didn't sign up for this?" one longtime resident exclaimed, shaking their head in disbelief. Others chimed in, recalling their fond memories of the farmland that had nurtured their families for generations. The realization that they were losing a piece of their community struck a chord, uniting them in their shared sense of loss. Conversely, there were still some who remained loyal to Karen, believing her vision was essential for progress. They argued that development was necessary to keep up with the times, But their voices grew quieter as more residents rallied around Sam's cause. The division within the community became palpable, highlighting the contrasting values at play, preservation versus progress. As discussions continued to unfold, Sam felt a wave of support wash over them. Neighbors approached with encouraging words and offers to help gather more evidence or attend future meetings. The tide was turning. People were beginning to see that standing together could empower them against the HOA's unchecked ambitions. With renewed energy and solidarity, Sam recognized this moment as a pivotal point in their fight. No longer just a battle for their farm, it had transformed into a collective movement, one that sought to reclaim not only their land, but also the very essence of their community. With the community rallying behind Sam, it was time to take the next step, initiating legal proceedings against the HOA and Karen. Armed with a robust collection of evidence, Sam met with a local attorney who specialized in property disputes. Together, they reviewed the documentation Sam had gathered, photographs, testimonies, and most importantly, the legal discrepancies in the HOA's development plans. The attorney was impressed by Sam's meticulous preparation. "You've done an extraordinary job," they said, flipping through the organized files. "If we proceed with this lawsuit, we have a strong case." Sam felt a swell of hope as they discussed potential strategies. The goal was clear: to secure an injunction to halt construction on the mall and compel the HOA to adhere to proper zoning regulations. Once the lawsuit was filed, the news spread quickly throughout the community. Many residents were eager to support Sam's efforts, offering to contribute financially for legal costs or gathering additional evidence. The solidarity among neighbors grew stronger as they recognized that this fight was about more than just one farm. It was about preserving their way of life and standing up to unchecked authority. As court dates approached, anticipation hung heavily in the air. Karen and her supporters were not going to back down easily. They viewed this legal challenge as a direct threat to their plans for progress. The tension between both sides mounted, leading to heated exchanges at community meetings and online forums. But Sam remained focused, fueled by their commitment to protect their land and community. The court proceedings would not only determine the fate of the mall, but also serve as a testament to what could be achieved when individuals united against adversity. With each passing day, Sam felt more resolute in their mission to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. As the legal proceedings gained momentum, Karen's confidence began to wane. Initially, she had approached the development project with a sense of invincibility, convinced that her plans for the mall would prevail without challenge. However, as the community rallied around Sam and legal action took shape, cracks in her facade started to show. Desperation set in as Karen realized that her dreams of a commercial hub were slipping through her fingers. She began to resort to increasingly aggressive tactics in an attempt to maintain control over the narrative. At community meetings, she launched personal attacks on Sam, trying to discredit them by painting them as an obstructionist who was holding back progress for everyone else. But her tactics only served to galvanize residents. Many saw through her attempts to manipulate the situation and were put off by her hostile behavior. In secret, Karen began reaching out to influential figures within the town, politicians and business leaders, hoping to rally support for her agenda. She wanted to leverage their influence to pressure the local government into dismissing Sam's claims, convinced that money and power could override legal rights. However, her desperation led her to make reckless statements that further alienated potential allies. Meanwhile, Sam remained steadfast, continuing to gather support from neighbors who felt empowered by their collective voice. The more Karen tried to undermine them, the more unified the community became. As court dates approached, it became clear that Karen's attempts at intimidation were backfiring spectacularly. The community had awakened to the importance of standing together against overreach, and with each passing day, Sam felt more resolved than ever to see this fight through to the end. The day of the court hearing arrived, and the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Sam stood outside the courthouse, flanked by supporters from the community, their faces a mix of determination and hope. The stakes were high. This was not just a legal battle over land, but a fight for the very essence of their community. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with energy as both sides presented their cases. Sam's attorney laid out a compelling argument, highlighting the numerous violations committed by the HOA and Karen in their rush to develop the mall. With each piece of evidence presented, photographs, testimony from neighbors, and documentation of missing permits, the weight of their case grew stronger. The judge listened intently, acknowledging the concerns raised by Sam and their supporters. Karen's defense was fraught with desperation. She attempted to downplay the significance of the violations and argued that development was essential for the community's growth. But her arguments fell flat against the mounting evidence that painted a clear picture of her overreach and disregard for legal protocols. As deliberations began, Sam felt a wave of anxiety wash over them, but also a deep sense of pride. This fight had united the community in ways they never thought possible. When the judge finally rendered a decision, declaring that the mall construction was halted due to improper zoning procedures and violations of local regulations, cheers erupted in the courtroom. Justice had prevailed. Sam felt an overwhelming sense of relief mixed with triumph as they embraced friends and neighbors who had stood by them throughout this journey. The victory was bittersweet. While it meant reclaiming their farm, it also signified a collective stand against tyranny within the community. It was a reminder that when people come together for a common cause, change is not only possible, it is powerful. In the aftermath of the court's ruling, Sam took a moment to reflect on what the journey had meant, not just for themselves but for the entire community. As they walked through the fields that had been saved from development, memories flooded back. The laughter of family gatherings, the warmth of neighborly camaraderie, and the sense of belonging that came from nurturing something greater than oneself. The fight against Karen and the HOA had ignited a newfound appreciation for community ownership. Sam understood that true ownership transcended property lines. It was about stewardship and responsibility toward one another. The experience had taught them that when individuals unite for a common cause, they can challenge even the most powerful forces. It was a lesson in resilience and solidarity that resonated deeply with everyone involved. Neighbors who once felt powerless were now empowered, eager to participate in decisions affecting their community. The victory over Karen's ambitions fostered conversations about what kind of neighborhood they wanted to create together, a space where everyone's voice mattered and where progress was balanced with preservation. As Sam looked around, they realized this was not just a personal reclaiming of land. It was a collective reclamation of shared values. They envisioned community gardens, local markets, and family events that celebrated their heritage while welcoming new faces. This victory had sparked a movement toward sustainable growth and respect for the land. With renewed hope and determination, Sam committed to working alongside their neighbors to ensure that their community thrived without sacrificing its identity. The battle against Karen had transformed them all, reminding everyone that together, they could protect what truly mattered and shape a future reflective of their shared dreams. As the dust settled from the legal victory, Sam looked toward the future with a sense of optimism and purpose. The community's successful stand against Karen and the HOA had not only preserved their farmland but had also ignited a collective vision for what lay ahead. With renewed energy, they began to discuss initiatives that would foster local engagement and sustainable growth. Community meetings became a regular occurrence, bringing together residents from all walks of life. Ideas flowed freely as neighbors brainstormed ways to enhance their environment while respecting its history. Sam proposed starting a cooperative where local farmers could sell their produce directly to residents, creating a vibrant marketplace that celebrated local agriculture. The idea was met with enthusiasm, as many saw it as a way to strengthen community ties and promote healthier living. Moreover, discussions about implementing conservation efforts gained traction. Residents expressed interest in preserving natural spaces and creating parks that could serve as gathering spots for families and events. This shift in focus showcased a commitment to balance progress with preservation, ensuring that the community's identity remained intact. As new developments loomed on the horizon, ones that respected the voice of the community, Sam felt hopeful that their story would inspire others facing similar challenges. The experience had shown how vital it was to stay vigilant against overreach and how powerful it could be when individuals came together for a shared cause. With each passing day, Sam embraced their role not just as a farmer, but as a community leader dedicated to nurturing both the land and the relationships forged in adversity. The future looked bright, filled with promise and potential, a testament to resilience and unity that would echo for generations to come.